All right, it is now 3:15. We've had this late addition to our agenda today, and we're inviting Emily Stinson and Megan Lemon from the Department of Labor and Industries. You can go ahead and share your video now, I believe. And Megan, I've given you ability to share your screen.
I'm so excited for this because I just got a ton of emails about the scheduling for interpretive services is going live next month.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Emily Stinson, and I'm Payment Policy and Provider Support Manager in Health Services Analysis for the Department of Labor and Industries. I want to thank WSIA for giving me a few minutes to update you on our new interpreter services scheduling system that will be rolling out soon. Next slide. So here's a little bit of background for you on the project and how we came to get to here today. During the 2018 legislative session, the passing of Substitute Senate Bill 6245 gave L&I authority to purchase in-person spoken language interpreter services for workers and crime victims by either working directly with interpreters or through contracts with organizations that schedule and coordinate the delivery of interpreter services. We were also given the authority to procure telephonic and video remote interpreting through contracts and to collectively bargain with interpreters. Next slide. So here's a broad overview of how interpreter services currently work. Providers are responsible for both arranging interpretation and recognizing when interpretation is needed to ensure that both parties are able to understand each other. Healthcare and vocational providers currently either rely on L&I's interpreter lookup service to find interpreters, or they rely on existing relationships with individual interpreters or interpreter agencies to schedule appointments. To be reimbursed for their services, interpreters must have an account with L&I either individually or through an agency, and interpreters then bill L&I or the self-insured employers directly or through their interpreter agency. Next slide. So to give you an idea of what we're talking about here is some state fund data. This is a quick look at the language data we have for state fund claims. As you can see, 96% of injured workers with limited English proficiency speak Spanish. Next slide. And here's a quick breakdown, again, of state fund claims of the most commonly spoken languages by injured workers other than English and Spanish. Next slide. So what's been accomplished so far? So since the passing of Substitute Senate Bill 6245, the department has been hard at work. We chose to solicit a request for proposal from organizations that schedule and coordinate the delivery of interpreter services. That process concluded in spring of 2020, and a vendor, Interpreting Works, was selected to create a scheduling platform for all in-person spoken language interpretation that are not interpretation appointments that are not emergencies, urgent care, or walk-in appointments. The system will make it easier and faster for providers to request a credentialed interpreter while avoiding potential conflicts of interest. The scheduling system will document the appointment so that the interpreter services appointment record, also known as the ISAR form, will not need to be filled out for any of these scheduled in-person appointments. Next slide. If you've been here all day, it might be the first you're hearing, but we are going live on April 12th, 2021, and we are very excited about that. Registration for interpreters and providers is open right now, and we're encouraging everyone to sign up to be able to use the system. Demonstrations of the system will be scheduled in the near future, and L&I will begin deactivating provider accounts for interpreter agencies shortly after the system goes live, and they will no longer be able to bill for their services. Self-insured employers are required to pay for appointments scheduled through this platform. please contact Interpreting Works directly to arrange your billing processes. And we do have contact information at the back of our slide deck. Next slide, please. Here's a little bit more information about the platform. It can be used on both mobile devices and PCs. It's an easy to use one-stop shop for both healthcare and vocational providers to request and schedule interpreter services. Interpreters will use the system to manage their appointments, and they can accept or decline appointments right in their app. It allows providers to indicate that the appointment is for a self-insured worker. Interpreters electronically check in and check out of their appointments using QR codes, and providers electronically sign off on the encounter instead of having to sign off on the ISAR form. Interpreting Works will bill self-insureds directly for the service and then pay the interpreter. Next slide. For on-demand appointments, such as emergencies, urgent care, or walk-ins, providers may continue to use an individual interpreter that is arranged outside of the scheduling system. However, interpreting agencies may not be used to arrange these appointments. L&I's lookup tool for individual interpreters will still be available for providers. On these occasions, the Interpreter Services Appointment Record form that is used to document the appointment must still be filled out by both the interpreter and provider and submitted by the interpreter when they bill the insurer. Telephonic interpretation through Language Link is still available as an option as well. Next slide. L&I's Language Access Services Payment Policy allows for providers to request a specific interpreter in the following cases. Number one, when it's advantageous for the continuity of care and case familiarity for a crime victim. Number two, for visits related to authorized mental health services covered under the claim. Number three, when continuity of care is needed during a pain management program or brain injury rehabilitation program. Additionally, on a case-by-case basis, the same interpreter may be used for rare languages. This is dependent upon the scheduling system and the availability of the interpreter. Next slide. So here's some resources for you. We have a couple minutes after this for questions, and I have both the contract manager, Karen Ahrens, who I think might need to be given the ability to talk to, and L&I's Language Access Payment Policy Manager, Megan Lemon, here with me. If after this presentation you think of other questions, I urge you to email our interpretation@lni.wa.gov mailbox for assistance. We also have FAQs available for interpreter services on our webpage, and we encourage you to contact Interpreting Works soon to set up your billing. Please keep an eye out for communications from the department in the next few weeks, including online demonstrations of the system and additional information tailored to self-insured employers. Thank you so much for your time.
And Karen, could I have you raise your hand so I know I'm selecting the correct Karen to promote? Is it K-A-R-I-N?
Oh, K-A-R-E-N and then last name A-H-R-E-N-S.
Well, I'm not seeing her in, oh, Caitlin Char, no.
Nope, she just wrote in the chat, Lloyd. I do not have
okay. There we go, found her. I did it.
Thank you.
Tell Carrie we could hear her cheering and hooting and hollering for you, Lloyd.
Oh, she's watching everything, yes. All right, Karen, you'll just need to unmute your microphone on your end and you should be able to speak there.
Thank you. I am the contract manager for the interpreter scheduling system contract, and we have been working very hard, as Emily said, to roll out this scheduling system and have everyone, now that we have a date of April 12th, which is great news, to let everyone know what's going on basically before the 12th, as self-insured employers would need to register or work with Interpreting Works in order for their bills to be paid.
Megan, do you want to introduce yourself too?
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Megan Lemon, and I am the Payment Policy Manager for our Language Access Services. Thank you for having us. Hopefully this was a helpful conversation for you all today. And I do want to just let Emily know we do have one question in the chat already.
Okay.
Please feel free to ask us additional questions while we answer this one. Does this update apply to telehealth exams or only in-person visits?
So Interpreting Works is only for in-person visits. So you're scheduling through Interpreting Works for in-person visits where they'll be right face-to-face.
All right. Any other questions in there? I think this is, I think our point is we want to make sure we get this information out. April 12th is only a month from today, huh? So, how can we get this information out because there's a lot of registration that needs to happen?
And we're also working with our self-insurance section to make more self-insured specific information available to you all in the coming weeks.
And I see a note here that there was an email, maybe message that went out that people received today as well.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions while everyone's still out there?
And as I said before, if you think of anything else, we've got a dedicated inbox for this, interpretation@lni.wa.gov. And we'd be happy to respond to your questions or any ahas you have over the weekend or, just next week.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us here today, and we'll try to get this message out there to the rest of the community.
We appreciate you having us. Thank you.